Okay. So, when I started looking back at some of the things I was going through, I, um, I was, I was distraught. Um, and I also noticed that, like, how much, power that I had, um, when I went through the phase where I directly told this person, um, person who was mentoring me at the time that I deserve better and I wasn't gonna stand for um I wasn't gonna so I'm just gonna say something real quick. I told this person like I'm not gonna stand for this. Um so and by doing that it's like I told myself like okay, like you could either accept what happened or you can mold a new narrative. And I decided to mold a new narrative. Um, and it sounds like it wasn't easy. Like I'm not saying like it was easy. I'm just saying like I know in my heart like I had to because it's like I know who I have to live for. I know like the people around me who need to hear this message. And who I'm meant to inspire. It's like and there's been a lot of healing times when I would just like cry and it's like sometimes like out of nowhere like I'll just like bawl out like tears coming down and just like thinking about the situation and some of the hurdles of being in that situation um where others probably may not been able to find an escape for because it is not easy to escape mental abuse period. And I realized in my life that I cannot um accept any form of mental abuse at all, period. Like it's sad to know that people still go through it today. And if I could be the voice for those people to remind them that they are so worth it and that they are worth living and they are worth fighting for and they are worthy and enough to be here. Um, and if one of my songs from this record is able to do that, then I have done my job as an artist. And, you know, I will, I was working on a record, which was my plan to release two songs. And as I'm thinking about it now, I'm so grateful that I didn't release those two singles that I have in the vault yet. Although I wanted to touch and reach people, at least one person, um, I realized that because of the situation happened kind of like right out the blue, I felt like I know I'm not gonna even say feel. I know it was ordained for me to go through this situation. I know it was ordained for people to hold space for me, especially this one person who held space the most, and I'm so grateful. I even told her like I'm so grateful that you were just here to just be kind of like that bridge to get me to the next step. And I'm grateful to this day. Um, regardless. Um, I know that I'm lost for words. I yeah, I'm just in a space where I felt liberated and I feel encouraged and empowered to know that there is someone else on the other side that cares about me that much to spend all those hours on Zoom to be able to like speak to me about these things that I wasn't aware of. And I decided to on my own also look up these things and I didn't even know what mental abuse was because I didn't really know. I didn't really deal with it really in the past in this fashion. Or if I did ever, I don't recall at all because, I didn't really go through this situation before and for as how severe it was, when I was going through it. And um I I I couldn't really I didn't really know like the ins and out of it, but to know that someone else was there with that had the knowledge and the resources at the time that I needed it was so like on time. And to this day I'm grateful, you know what I mean? Because had it not been for someone who cared that much, you know what I mean? It's like I don't even want to think about it because it's yeah, it's depressing um to know that like things like that, could cause somebody to commit suicide. Um, because it's like it's too much. The gaslighting was too much, the sleepless nights too much, the, chaos, confusion that went on in that situation was too much for me. And it was to the point where I couldn't even focus on I couldn't even live. I couldn't even focus on living because I was too wrapped up in a situation where that's all I could think of. I went to the gym thinking about it. I mean, there was no gym when this happened because it was still lockdown, but it was just like I still couldn't focus, and also I couldn't even work. I couldn't focus. I had no desire to like I guess to be. I just didn't have. I didn't see purpose. Like I didn't see purpose. I didn't see like my contribution to society. Like I didn't see all this when I was going through it. I just saw myself in a fetal position in a dark space, in my room, just like wondering like why. And then I kept on asking like, okay, why am I going through this? Like, why me? I'm a good person, so I'm just thinking like, and it was going through that situation that I just felt there was so much power in that struggle because regardless if I wanted to or not go through the situation, I learned a lot about myself. Um, and I don't know, like I learned so much about myself. And I just learned that like, hey, like everything I went through is for a reason. It's like it's not in vain. And I had to remind myself to constantly check in with me. Every video, every mantra, everything leading up to this point today brought me to where I accepted the situation for what it was. I accepted the role I played in this situation, and I took complete ownership of this situation because had I not taken full ownership of the situation, I could have not been here to tell the story. I took ownership and said, I played a part in this and I need to speak about this situation because there's a group of people who need to know there's another side to this. There's another side to mental abuse. There's another side to there's a way to end the stigma. And we do this and we do that by getting help we need, speaking to people that, I'm not a therapist, but I believe, songs are healing. Even sometimes, people go through things in a song and it just frees us up because we just like, oh, somebody else understands, and that is my desire for, these songs to free people up who are enslaved in bondage from their past, from their traumas, in their present day life, a lot of us are stuck in a situation where we kind of feel like we walk around with these chains on us of traumas and things like that. And it's like we need to find a way to alter the narrative, to not believe the lie that people tell us that we are worthy, we are enough, and we're not our circumstances or our past, but we are our present and our future. And, I want the song to be some victory lap for someone who has been through it and speak, in my story, they could see themselves in the dark space and also being able to get out of it. And this is gonna be really a testimony for others to see like, okay, I'm not the only one. And there's people who have fought through this situation and by continuously fighting for, my life, I realized that I'm fighting for somebody else's as well. And I didn't know by writing I would see myself, going through the situation or writing all these songs about this one situation. And I feel like it was on time because as I grew up to record this EP, I know that it's gonna be healing, not only to me, but for other people, that it's meant to serve. Like the people need to know that there is another side to mental trauma and it's not just it's not just, you know, fairy tale or false reality. It's really true. Like there are people who have been through stuff and are still today have so much fight, have so much will, have so much strength to be able to get up in the morning and still provide and still live. And I want my story to be that for them, for people to be like, okay, I can live, I can strive, I can keep going so that and that I have purpose and I have will and I am destined for greatness. And if this record does any of those things, hold space for those who feel like they're not worthy, then I have done my due diligence because I know that like this is gonna free people up. I know that it's gonna free me up. Like I've gone to the point like when I'm being inspired by all these things and even I went to a show and one of the girls was speaking about her story And as traumatic as it was, she was able to get to the acceptance part. And I'm like, wow, I wish I was there, mentally, because that it takes a strong person to go through difficult circumstances and still accept that, okay, this happened. I'm not gonna tolerate it. I'm not saying that you're gonna tolerate it. I'm just saying, like, to get to the point where you don't let it rob you of your inner peace and your self-worth. So, and you know, this I wrote a whole song about it called I Forgive You because of the fact that I was resentful, I was bitter, I was angry, I was resentful, like I was vengeful. And, revenge fantasies, it's crazy because I don't want to admit it, but I I could even look at this person through a Zoom screen for nothing. That's how hurt I was. And I realized that, like, I'm not like a victim and I'm not a victim of my circumstances, but I am a testimony because of the test that God put me in by going through the situation. It was a test for me to see how strong I was. And I believe and I know, not believe, that He will not give me more than I can handle. And for whatever reason I went through it was because of the story that needs to be told. Because a lot of people don't know that there is light at the end of the tunnel, especially when you're in a dark situation, when you're depressed and you feel like the world is against you or you feel alone in your room, you feel like there is no way out. And by me finding a way out or just having someone help me find a way out was that bridge that I needed to get to the other side of it. And I speak about that in quite a few songs I've written, this going through it and reaching the other side. And I want this, my desire is for the song to do that for you, to hold space for you, to be a light for you, to be that torch for you. And for myself, as a reminder, like, that my situation and your situation is not in vain. It's not in vain. There's a reason, there's a story, and I I encourage you or to share your story, your mental abuse story, because it's gonna free not only you up, so many other people who don't want to speak about it because they're shrouded in anguish and they're shrouded by the darkness around them. They are just so knee deep in, you know, the trauma that is so hard to see, the victory or the seeds that were planted in that situation of where that could save somebody's life. So as I continue to write or hone on the songs I want to put on this record, um, and I know it's gonna come in time, but I know, like, I'm excited because it's been so long that I've been able to just like have the courage to put myself in a space where I'm okay with telling my story. I'm okay with putting out something that, that's vulnerable, that's authentically me. And I'm not gonna apologize about it. I'm not gonna apologize about it because I know that there's a story in all of this, you know, in all of the songs that I've written about this situation. And I know that whoever is meant to hear it we're here at the right time. And I know the situation will, is something that I will remember as not only as a testimony, but as a pivotal point in my life where I was able to help so many people because I was willing enough to go there in my music and willing enough to be the light for those who I know are in a dark space. And I want you to know that there is hope. There is hope. I want my music to be hope for people who don't have hope. I want to bring a dose of hope to you through my music in hopes that you will feel enough that you will be able to tap into your fullest potential. And I I just want you to know that you are loved regardless of who hurt you, regardless of who mistreated you, regardless of people who devalue you or discredit you and dishonor you. Just know that you are loved by someone other than yourself. And I needed to hear that today. And my desire is that you live out the best version of you, regardless of the situation you're going through. Share your story, share your testimony, share everything because someone needs to hear what you've overcome